I would love to introduce to you Sharday Ahikona, and she is an LCP. She currently is the owner of Spoken Boundaries, LLC, which is a private practice that aims to provide psychoeducation surrounding boundaries, healthy relationships, and assist people in the community with finding culturally competent and trauma-informed clinicians. Sharday founded Encourage the Encourager, Heal the Healer Conference to assist with further establishing self-care, establishing boundaries, and enhancing work-life balance, health, and wellness. Sharday additionally is employed as a licensed professional counselor at Living Hope Eating Treatment Disorder Center, where she provides trauma-informed counseling services to clients that have experienced trauma, as well as clients that have been impacted by eating disorders. Sharday has a history providing counseling service to domestic violence victims, sexual assault survivors, and children in foster care. She obtained her undergraduate degree with a major in psychology and a minor in sociology from the University of Central Oklahoma. She obtained her master's degree in marriage and family therapy from Southern Nazarene University. With that, please help me welcome Sharday Ahikona.
Thank you so much, Amy. And thank you for saying my name all correctly right. So good job. Golden stars. That doesn't happen that often. It is a pleasure and an honor to be with you all today. I hope you guys have enjoyed your morning thus far. So today I'm going to talk to you about self-care and self-preservation and the importance of boundaries, because boundaries are super important, because boundaries are where we start and others end, and where we end and others begin. And so it's an honor to be with you guys today. Okay, let me see if my slide, it's not going to the next one. I don't know why it's doing that, so give me just a second. Okay, design slide. That's never happened before, so let me try it again. Okay, there we go. So we're going to talk about boundaries, which is spelled wrong right there, self-care and self-awareness. So I want to do a little check-in right now. I know that most of you guys are at lunch. I don't know if you can hear my little meditation music to the side. Hopefully you can. But what I want us to do is I want us to take a deep breath in. And when I say breathe in, you're going to breathe in through your lungs and hold for 4 seconds, and then breathe out for 6 seconds. Right now, we're going to breathe in relaxation, and we're going to breathe out all the stress to leave our body and the anxiety. So we're going to breathe in, deep breath in, and hold our breath, and do a slow, gentle breath out. Good. Again, deep breath in. We're breathing in that relaxation, and we're going to breathe out all the stress now that's leaving our body to be recycled again. And so now what I want you to do is I want you to notice 3 to 5 things that you see that are comforting around you. And now I want you to breathe in again. We're breathing in the relaxation. And we're breathing out all the anxiety and tension and stress. Good. Now I want you to notice 3 to 5 things that you hear as we're taking a deep breath in and doing a slow, gentle breath out. Good. And we're going to do another deep breath in and do a slow, gentle breath out. Now I want you to notice 3 to 5 things that you feel, tactile, touching. And as you're identifying those things, we're going to take our final deep breath in and do a slow, gentle breath out. Again, deep breath in, slow, gentle breath out. Good. I hope that you guys enjoyed that. Grounding is a way that we ground ourselves to the here and now and the present, and we leave all our anxiety about things that we cannot control or things that we're struggling with, and we leave those things aside to be focused on the here and now, right now. So I'm grateful that each of you are present with me right now. Okay, so self-preservation or boundaries. So one of my favorite things to say in the world is givers give more than is fair and set up the conditions to be faithfully deprived and resentful because they can never get enough. Oftentimes they attract the 180 of themselves, which is a taker. And takers take more than is fair and set up the conditions to be faithfully deprived and resentful because they can never get enough. You could give them the shirt off of your back and it still wouldn't be enough. And oftentimes those are your users, abusers, con artists. And so it's actually kinder to self not to give more than is fair and not to receive less than is fair. And that's where assertiveness and boundaries come in. And so oftentimes we'll hear people say, you know what, it's really selfish to be concerned with myself right now. It's selfish to take care of myself. But it's so important to be self-aware. And part of assertiveness and self-awareness involves being able to respect myself and respect others at the same time. So I'm going to be talking to you about that a little bit more here in just a minute. So I hope you guys can see the quote. I really like it. Most women consider being kind to themselves as a luxury and not a necessity. I hope that you don't see self-care as a luxury, because it's something that we need to be doing to replenish ourselves. Let's see. Okay. So communication styles. So as in the quote that I just stated above, passiveness really looks like really just kind of giving and making ourselves inferior and making everybody else superior. So for instance, if you were tired right now and somebody said, hey, I really need you to come do this laundry, a passive person will just be like, oh, okay, and just go do it, even though it could affect that person because they're already tired. Aggressive people, what that looks like is, typically seen as like rude and gruff and disrespectful to others. And aggressive people make everybody else inferior to themselves as their perception, and they are superior to those around them from their perspective. I'm sorry about the background sounds. Assertiveness is where we want to be. And that's, again, where we want to respect ourselves and others. And so it's important to communicate our needs to others, because when that doesn't happen, we become resentful and bitter, and we don't want that to take place. So it is super important to identify the true people that you can lean on for support. So what I want you to do right now in this moment is, I want you, where the blue is, I want you to identify safe people that you could be vulnerable with and share things and conversate with. So I would put a therapist in the middle if you have a therapist. I would put close friends or close family members, just reliable people that you can ask for help when you need it, and are just a soft place to land to really communicate when you need to communicate with others. Where the green realm is going to be people that you trust with some things, but you just don't trust with everything. And so what that could look like is, I might trust Amy to go to the movies with me, or I might trust Amy to watch my dog, but I may not share my traumas or things that I've experienced with Amy. We may not go to that deep, but we enjoy spending time together. So we would identify, those people that you trust with some things, but you just don't trust with everything in this green area. And then we have the red area, which is really going to be like our surface level. And so those are going to be like, for instance, just somebody that you just met, or just in the distant world. I think I'm getting feedback a little. Oh, okay, sorry. In the distant world, in particular. And so when we meet people, what happens is, because I know you guys as parents are so responsible for caretaking for your kids, and sometimes it's really easy to not have a break, and that can make you more susceptible to being like tired and overwhelmed. And what we do is we meet people and we bring them into this blue center very quickly. We want to get to know people over time, but because the knight in shining armors, or people that are very kind, which those aggressive, abusive, charming, narcissistic people are more likely to try to come in, whether it be friends or whether it be relationships. And because we're so vulnerable and susceptible, we're more likely to open up and divulge of ourselves. And we have to be very mindful that we are only allowing safe people that we've watched their behaviors over time to be in our center. But it is important to know who is in our center, and being able to utilize those people if we have them. Hey, I need to talk about this, or hey, can you come over and help me with the kiddos, or whatever the case may be. That is really, really important. So I hope you guys kind of keep this activity. Just because of time's sake, I'm going to have to move forward, but it is important to create a Rolodex of individuals, of where people fall. And guess what? As you watch people over time, you'll move them into the blue. Sometimes people that you feel like are in the blue, you'll say, I need to put them in the green or the orange. So I hope that makes a lot of sense to you all. Ways to decline invitations assertively. And so when we are very others focused, sometimes we can have a hard time establishing boundaries. So we might feel like we have to take on responsibilities that are outside of our realm of things that we can control. So here are some examples of things to say boundaries wise. Unfortunately, I do not have the emotional wherewithal to attend this event this week, but I look forward to connecting with you when things start to die down. So that would be a really good example. So there's just a couple examples there, but I'm going to kind of breeze forward. So kind of back into that self-preservation boundaries aspects. The golden rule, as you can see, is recognized in several different spiritual aspects. And it's love your neighbor as yourself. Oftentimes we forget the as yourself aspect of that. We are more focused on others and meeting the needs of others, but we forget that we are supposed to be equal. We are supposed to respect others, and we're supposed to respect ourselves as well. So we need to be mindful of not depleting ourselves and just letting our cup run empty when we have nothing else to give. And so practicing self-love and self-awareness, I'm going to talk to you today about several ways that you can practice that in particular. Personal healthy boundaries. Sometimes it's important to take social media breaks because there are so many tragic things that are happening in the world. And sometimes, especially if you're an empath, you want to be more aware of things that are taking your energy. You want to connect with loved ones because it fills you up rather than depletes you. So on days that you're having a challenging circumstance, you want people that are going to fill your cup rather than making withdrawals or deposits from you. Only discuss certain topics with your therapist or close friends. So I kind of went over that in regards to the vulnerability aspect. Respect your need for personal space, nutrition, your time, and who you share it with. And so I know you spend a lot of time with your kids and having to do for your children as well, but just being mindful of spending your time the way that you cherish it when you do have those opportunities. Make sure you find a healing space. So there's communities where you could go to groups, or that might look like a spiritual group. It could look like a crocheting group, or whatever group that you need. I think that that's going to be very important, as well as being in therapy. If you don't have a therapist, it is super important to have that space where somebody's objective and that time is just solely devoted to yourself and you can put it on your schedule as well to make sure that that transpires. getting your mindful movement and delegating tasks and asking for help if you can. I know that that can be hard at times, but just really making yourself a priority in that and making sure that you're getting rest. I wanted to show you all some examples of boundaries that I perceive to be very important, because oftentimes we want to set boundaries, but we don't know how. We don't want to hurt people's feelings. So, just some examples of things to say is give me time to process this situation. I also like to say if you need an immediate answer, then the answer is no. But if you give me some time to reflect on it, then maybe I can give you an answer here in a little while. I'm unable to participate in this, but I'm willing to participate in this other aspect. I'm only available between this time and this time. Do not show up at my home without permission. My personal business is my business. I would like to keep my personal life separate from my professional life. I hope you understand. I need some time to myself, me time. I think that that's going to be super important for you all. I have an event at this time. We would need to pick another time, or do not bring up my weight or body image again. It is not a topic for discussion, because that can be really impactful when you have people around you that are really negative and not conscious of your needs, and that just can deplete your energy even further when you have negative energy around you. Boundaries with friends. I can only talk on the phone for X amount of time. So if you're trying to be a super mom or super dad or super parent in general, and you have a friend that's always trying to lean on you for information or advice, it's okay to say, again, I don't have that wherewithal, or I can only talk between this time or this time. And if you are a friend, it's very respectful. If you have something challenging to discuss, to say, hey, I'm really going through something. Are you in a space where you can receive what I have to share with you today? That's just really respectful to do for others. I'm not comfortable listening to gossip. Let's talk about something else. Thank you for the invitation, but unfortunately, I won't be able to attend. So those are just some examples of boundaries with friends. Please abstain from touching my hair without permission, or I need you not to use derogatory terms within my presence. I would appreciate if you would lower your tone because it's making me feel uncomfortable. So if you guys have to deal with uncomfortable people that are around your kids, or just around you in particular, it's really good to establish boundaries, because you're going to feel better when you communicate those boundaries than really holding it all in. And it's just going to, again, deplete your energy. And that's never fun when that happens. Interpersonal boundaries, not consuming others' burdens and experiencing difficulty separating your emotions from others. So I like to help my clients with identifying things that they can control and cannot control. In this life, we can control ourselves, our attitude, how we feel, what we think about ourselves, what we think about others, our intentions, our reactions, and our responses. Those two things are very different. Reactions is like that fight, flight, freeze response that does not require like higher functioning. It's just reacting. But responding is really being intentional with your responses as well. Our beliefs is something that we can control, and our choices and our intentions. Things that we cannot control is what others do, what they say, how they feel, how they react, how they respond. We just cannot control other people. And in life, we try to make other people happy, but we all have the key to our own happiness, and they have the key to their happiness. And so it becomes toxic when we try to live life trying to make other people happy. We can be kind to people or responsible to people, but not for them. And so just being more mindful of that. If your kid is having some challenges and they're not behaving properly, that's not something you can control. You can try to like reinforce positive behaviors and create a system of rewards and grounding and taking certain things from them. but they might just be having a very challenging negative day. But oftentimes when we trick ourselves to say, it's my fault that they're acting that way. In some instances, as parental figures, yes, kids are watching you and how you behave, but sometimes there are things outside of you that are involved, such as a child could be tired and cranky, which is why they might be acting out. Their behaviors might be communicating to you. But what happens is we internalize the negative things around us sometimes. So to be very mindful of that, not taking responsibility for others' words or actions, not sacrificing your needs to please others, not blaming others for your problems, not taking responsibility for their problems and feelings. Strong boundaries protect your self-esteem and your identity as an individual with the right to make your choices. So that's what it's all about, empowering you guys to do what's best for you all in order to put your mask on first, so then you can put the mask on your children as well and take care of them. So if you guys can't take care of yourself, then it's going to be very challenging to effectively meet the needs of the kids. So just try to do your best to take care of yourselves as well. That is super important. And it's really good for them to watch you actually take care of yourself, because they're going to learn to take care of themselves as well. There's a popular TikTok where a mother's like telling her child to put their finger on their chin, and she's got our finger here, and the child's just doing this rather than putting the fingers on the chin. And I think that shows that kids do as parents as they see their parents rather than as the parents say. And so just being mindful of being encouraging about your body and encouraging about who you are as a person, that those types of things rub off onto our kids as well, and they will internalize those things. Some of the self-care initiatives, I'm sorry, I'm moving this little bar that I see that y'all probably can't see at the top. A list of compelling reasons that is essential to practice self-care is super important. Reminding yourself of your why, making sure that you eat 3 times a day at least, because it's super, super important when that happens. Establishing social media boundaries, as we talked earlier, and making sure that you're getting rest when you can. I know some situations are a little bit more challenging. And just remember halts. So hungry, when was the last time you ate? Is it possible to be hungry for an emotion or a connection? Do you need a long hug or a belly laugh? Angry, what is the source of your anger? What can you do about it? Remind yourself that your anger will pass. Lonely, a common foe on campaigns. That's just an example that I won't go into it. But if you're feeling alone and you need encouragement, please reach out. Tired, do you need a short break? Can you take a walk around your block or your neighborhood or down the street? Stressed, whatever those stressors are, rating the level of stress and what can you do to reduce your stress. Self-care directives, I'm going to, for time's sake, pass that one. But some more self-care directives are listening to your favorite music, listen to your favorite podcasts or motivational speakers. Anytime that you can listen to Brene Brown, I encourage you to. She's one of my favorites. Take meaningful walks. There is a Spotify album called Sleep Sounds for Sleeping Soundly. That might be beneficial for you guys and your kids to get, proper sleep. Take up a new hobby if you feel the need to be constantly busy. And again, get into your own therapy. So you might see that a couple times throughout this aspect. But here goes the self-care continuum. So you've got daily choices, lifestyle, self-managed ailments, minor ailments, long-term conditions, acute conditions, psychiatric care, and major traumas. So these are all things that come into play when it comes to our self-care in particular. Some of the top self-care things that people do is they get out in nature and practice mindful movement. They spend time with friends, they pray, and they meditate. Some of the actual coping skills, I had you guys do grounding at the beginning of this particular presentation. Deep breathing, 4-4-6, So breathing in 4, holding it for 4, and then breathing out for 6. Or just imagine breathing in your favorite color through your heart and breathing out your least favorite color, which is leaving your body through your feet. Progressive muscle relaxation, if you can get on YouTube, they have several YouTubes that can guide you through it. And it's where we tense our muscles, all of our muscles, and we go through each group individually. And then we relax them because our body can't be tense and relaxed at the same time. So it's purposely tensing our body to relax it. It's so meaningful. It's also meaningful for your children as well. They can also, there's several YouTubes as well for kids as well. The think technique. So you might be, as a mom or a dad or parent, you might say to yourself, I'm just an awful mother. We want to challenge those thoughts with the think technique. Can I know that it's true that I'm a bad mother? Is that true? Well, my kids think I'm pretty awesome, so that's not true. Is it helpful to have that thought? No, it's not. Is it inspiring? Is it necessary? Is it kind to myself? No, it's not. So a more helpful thought might be, today I'm having a difficult day, but my kids know that that I love them dearly, and I dedicate my best efforts to assisting my children. Would be a great way to challenge that negative belief. Positive self-talk and encouragement is super important. And then gratitudes. Before you go to bed, trying to find 5 things to be grateful for, even when it's very difficult and hard. Sometimes people start what's called gratitude journals, which is just journaling your progress of the week or the day. And then eventually when you're having a hard day, you can go back through and see, things that have manifested positively in your life for an extended amount of time, and just remembering your why. And so on hard days when, your kids might have some challenges, and then you might also be frustrated as well, just understanding that, you are trying to give them the best life that you possibly can. And just kind of going back to these are the things I can control. These are the things I cannot control. So I want you guys to list a couple of your needs that you have right now. And all you need to do is, get a pen or piece of paper and just kind of identify, some things that are really important to you. So for me, some of my needs is I know that I need time when I get home to kind of debrief and be by myself for 10 to 15 minutes. That's mine in particular, to just breathe. I know that not everybody has, that luxury, but that's something I do as a therapist to kind of decompress from my day. So I flush my day down the toilet, and then I'm present so that I can be home. So just give myself a couple minutes. So we all have specific needs that are really important for us. And so it's important for you guys to come up with 2 or 3 that are good and helpful for you in particular. Burnout. Sometimes we just get really overwhelmed. And so we develop what's called compassion fatigue as well. And that can happen with parents as well. We often hear about that in the professional aspect, but it can happen when we're caring for kids. And that's just kind of where we're just so almost done, for lack of better words. Like we're having a really hard time just having empathy and having the wherewithal to do the things that we need to do. That's often a sign that we might need to get into the therapy and practice self-care. So I know for time's sake, we kind of started a little bit late, but these are all the dimensions of well-being. There's a mind, body, and spirit. I do want you guys to just come up with some things right here that will replenish your mind. So that could be reflecting or praying or journaling or talking to friends, and then things that you can do for your body like sleep and making sure that you're eating, 3 times a day at least. Mindful movement, and then spiritually, so things that just feed your spirit in particular. And then I want you guys to list the supportive people in your life. So, hint, hint, that should be the blue that we indicated earlier. You know, the people that we can ask for help and that are safe and there for us, and things that we want to accomplish as well. So I do want you guys to be able to utilize the sheet to kind of come up with a self-care plan. Um, we will not have time for questions in that regard, I don't think, from what I can tell. But what I will do is I will email Amy in case you guys need that sheet that I just showed you just to create your plan. But just remember, boundaries teach them how to treat us, and negative energy is not productive. And so we want to make sure that we communicate our needs in relationships, and it's very important. And also the saying that we often hear, an escalated parent can't de-escalate an escalated child as well. And so whenever children or people that I interact with kind of get negative and loud with me, I go lower instead of going higher with them. And sometimes that can be really, really helpful as well, because you want to have a peaceful environment. Sometimes just kind of setting the tone with like positive smells can come back to that grounding that we talked about earlier. I just want you guys to know that you matter. And I've kind of talked to you about a list of things that you can do that you really enjoy. Self-care is more than like getting your nails done and bubble baths. Self-care might be like, hey, I'm just going to watch my favorite Netflix show tonight. Or, hey, I'm not going to go out tonight, or I am going to go out and do certain things that feed my soul, or write poems, or, participate in hobbies. So these are some things that you can do to practice self-care. I'm sorry that I had to kind of speed through to make sure that the presentation was done in time. This is my information if you want to email me if you have any particular questions for me.